everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Burning Hammer podcast. I'm your host, Mark Izzo. Alongside me, as always, is your other host, Dillon O'Brien. And joining us today is Jiarmani Depena. Jiarmani is a video contributor at Vendetta Sports Media. Jiarmani, welcome to the Burning Hammer podcast. We are super happy to have you on the show.
I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk about some wrestling. Been a long-time wrestling fan. Start off with WWE. I'm excited to give you guys my time. Excited to be here.
Yeah, and before we jump into this episode, make sure to follow us on all of our social media. On Twitter, we are at The Burnt Hammer. On Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, we are at The Burning Hammer. And me and Dillon write for Vendetta Sports Media. We cover professional wrestling, so make sure to follow them on Twitter at Vendetta VSM. Follow them on Instagram and TikTok at Vendetta Sports Media. For any and all of your sports needs, head over to vendettasportsmedia.com. Jiarmani makes some really good videos, mostly for baseball and basketball, right?
Yeah, and I'm trying to kind of dabble in a little bit of gaming and stuff like that, a lot more. And I mean, hey, I'm here I'm talking pro wrestling with you guys now, so I'm trying to increase my palette while I'm here. So,
yeah, Vendetta Sports Media on the rise. We're coming up along with the Burning Hammer. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the AEW Jay Briscoe tribute show. We're just going to talk about this briefly before we get into the Royal Rumble predictions. Dillon, why don't you kick us off?
I don't have too much to say. I just wanted to make sure that we touched base on it because I think it was just like a super special moment in wrestling last night. After tons of reports that the Briscoes weren't allowed on TV, that we weren't going to be able to get Mark Briscoe, that they weren't allowed to do a Jay Briscoe tribute on the night that he did pass. All these things that was really upsetting more than anything else that a lot of people thought we weren't going to be able to get a proper, televised send-off show for Jay Briscoe. But it ended up happening, and we ended up getting Mark Briscoe, his real life younger brother and tag team partner, against his longtime rival, one of the Briscoe's biggest rivals of all time, in Jay Lethal. And you could see the tears in Jay Lethal's eyes from the moment he stepped on the ramp, and it didn't look like they left his face the entire match until literally the entire time as he was walking up the ramp. Mark holding both belts with the Jay Briscoe picture in the background. Just like an all-time picture that really brings tears to your eyes. And it's more than anything else. One, I will say this, they did Jay Briscoe extremely proud because that was an absolute banger. What a match. Super fast-paced, super like it was Briscoe style, man. Like, and they brought it for TV. We got the froggy bow onto the table. And it was just it was special. It was a special moment. And it's unfortunate, the circumstances, obviously, and more than anything else, we wish that we didn't have to, be talking about this show. But with that being said, I think they made Jay Briscoe extremely proud. And you can't help but continue to give all your prayers and support to the Pugh family. They still need our prayers. Both Briscoe's daughters seem to be like they're in good spirits and they are recovering, but they could definitely still use our prayers. So I just wanted to touch on that because it was beautiful. It was a great match. It brought me to tears. The tribute video before, everyone hugging Mark, and as he was coming up the ramp, it was just beautiful. So rest in peace, Jay Briscoe. And I know he was definitely looking down on that match last night, and he was definitely happy. So
for sure, it was definitely an emotional match, and the whole night was very emotional. And like Warner Bros. Discovery, they received a lot of backlash because they didn't allow them to do the tribute show last week. because Mark and Jay were banned from television. But then Tony Khan was reportedly very persistent on trying to get them onto television and have them do a tribute show. So good on Tony Khan for that. And I don't know what changed with Warner Bros. Discovery, but I'm happy that they got to do this, and I'm happy that they got to televise it. So that being said, our thoughts and prayers go out to Jay Briscoe and Mark Briscoe and their entire family. So let's move into these Royal Rumble predictions. The Royal Rumble is just days away. We are recording this before the Go Home SmackDown show. Me and Dillon were in attendance for the Go Home Raw this past Monday night, which was sick. So the first thing we're going to kick off with is the Pitch Black match. Now, Jiarmani, do you have any thoughts or any ideas on what the Pitch Black match is going to be? You need to stay tuned with Vendetta Sports Media because I wrote an article that is 3 ways that WWE can pull off this match, and I firmly believe one of those ways is how it's going to be done. But Jiarmani, why don't you tell us any ideas you have for how they can do this?
When in terms of the Pitch Black match, before I start diving into that, O'Brien, that was really well said about the sentiments that you said about Jay Briscoe. So I'm giving you props, my man. That was beautiful sentiment. But going back to the Pitch Black match, am I the only? I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who thinks it's probably going to be a really, really fun dumpster fire of a match. It's probably going to go maybe a good 10, maybe 15 minutes if they're pushing it, because there's only 3 regularly scheduled matches on the card besides the Rumble matches. But for me, I feel like it's going to be looked at as more of an angle anyway, and I feel it's going to really be a huge step in whatever story that Bray Wyatt is trying to tell. And I feel like the biggest winner out of all this has been LA Knight the last couple of weeks, especially him getting called up to the main roster and immediately pretty much getting put into a big time feud with a big name. So to me, besides it being looked at maybe more as their way of trying to do a cinematic match, how they were going back when it was lockdown, I think we're just going to see a really big angle out of the end of it. And I think, like I said before, it's going to be a really, really fun dumpster fire, and I'm here for it. What about you, Dillon?
Yeah, I still am kind of trying to wrap my head around what it exactly is going to entail. I think that's an interesting point that you brought up, the cinematic match, Jiarmani, because I feel like I said that, and people told me that it definitely was not going to be that. So I'm glad that you, somebody else has finally agreed with me. So I think there's a decent chance that it's a cinematic type match. I'm not saying that it's going to be not in the arena, but I'm saying it could definitely start in the arena and then go back. I don't know. I just think this isn't going to be obviously it's not going to be a normal match, but there's going to be more supernatural cinematic elements to this match, whether it's in person or via Titantron or really whatever. And I also think it was a great point you made about LA Knight has been such a winner in this entire feud. I mean, he has really held his own with a top star in the WWE, a proven top star in the WWE, and Bray Wyatt. And in my opinion, he's really only gotten better over these last few months. I think the segment, and we were there in person for the segment with Taker, and it was great. You know what I mean? It was hilarious, and I think seeing him in person made me even more sure of how much of a star he is. So
yeah, the crowd really loves LA Knight. We talked about it with Sami Zayn. Television does not do it justice, just how much just how over LA Knight and Sami Zayn are. So it was cool to be in the stadium just screaming "yeah" with everybody.
Yeah, it was great. So honestly, like I said, I don't even know if that answers the question of what I think the Pitch Black match is going to be, but like Jiarmani said, I'm here for it. I'm just so excited to see Bray Wyatt back in action, man. It's been long enough.
Yeah.
We were there in person at his return as well at Extreme Rules in Philly, and he has yet to wrestle a televised match. So we had been to another event in person before he had wrestled a televised match. So it's been long enough. We were without him for so long. He finally signed, and now I feel like it's been waiting so long for him to finally get back in action. So I'm just excited for it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I think he did wrestle like 2 or 3 house shows, but I think he ended up like hurting his finger because he had like a splint on it or something, I think after the first match. But I think that they're going to do this similar to the red light match, but with purple lighting. Because if you think about it, it's a Mountain Dew pitch black match, right? Like Mountain Dew is sponsoring it, which is what gives me hesitation that it's going to be a good match. But the soda is not black; it's purple. So like, they've been like featuring a lot of like purple stuff with the ads, and so I think that it could be a mixture of what I talked about before a few weeks ago with them sort of doing it in a night vision effect, like filming in a night vision effect, but you can do it where it's just like sort of purple lighting, like they have a purple night vision effect. So I think that's a way they could do it. I think they could also do it in like a cinematic match. I don't know if that would be disappointing for people in attendance if you're thinking you're going to like see Bray Wyatt live, but Bray Wyatt, happy that he's back. A few months ago, one of the things that I said needs to happen at the Royal Rumble is Bray Wyatt needs to wrestle. So I'm happy that he is going to actually be wrestling and LA Knight nonetheless. But Dillon, who do you think is going to win? What's your official prediction? Who's coming out on top?
So my official prediction is going to be Bray Wyatt. I mean, come on, guys. We can't have Bray Wyatt lose in the pitch black match in his first match back. I mean, it would be crazy if LA Knight won, in my opinion. I don't necessarily think it would be the worst thing in the world. But it would be pretty bad because I think LA Knight can afford the loss a lot more than Bray Wyatt can. If Bray Wyatt takes the loss, it kind of diminishes everything that has happened over the last few months, in my opinion. And I think it's going to go. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's definitely not going to just be a straight up victory. We might see The Fiend. We might see Uncle Howdy. Maybe we'll see Alexa Bliss or something. Who knows? But maybe we'll see all three. Maybe we'll have the formation of the Wyatt Six officially. That might be crazy if that's like a faction that's going to happen. But yeah, who knows? But whatever happens, I do think Bray Wyatt is going to come out on top. And while I'm at it, let me remember.
Yeah, so in case you don't know, Dillon is the Burning Hammer Podcast Predictions World Heavyweight Champion of the world. He won it at Survivor Series, and so I'm coming for the belt. What about you, Jiarmani? What's your official prediction for this match?
See, it was real interesting, and it's something I was thinking about for a while. I know I kind of locked in a bunch of my predictions to you last night, and be on the lookout for Izzo's predictions article. Keep an eye on that. VetDataSportsMedia.com, the whole 9 yards right there. But especially when it comes to what I saw on Monday night with that Taker segment, LA Knight is going over. And the reason I say that is the fact that over the last few months, what has Bray Wyatt's story been? It's been him technically at first him feuding with himself, saying that he wasn't good enough, or saying that he didn't want to choose violence anymore, be that kind of person anymore. And Uncle Howdy has been the guy to say, he exactly said, revel in what you are. And it's going back to pretty much going back to what has worked. And I feel like, O'Brien, to your point, saying that a loss would be far more detrimental to Bray, I feel that pushes Bray's story along even further with this whole Uncle Howdy situation. I feel LA Knight, he seems like the kind of guy who can bounce back from a loss, kind of like how Seth Rollins can bounce back from a loss. No problem. It's no skin off his back. But I feel if you really want to kind of cement LA Knight as a threat going forward to just like even like a upper mid card title, like the IC title, or going even for a future world championship, because I'm with you. I feel he's a future world champion in WWE. I feel him beating Bray Wyatt, it's going to add that shock factor, and that could cause Bray Wyatt to kind of go even more in a downward spiral because he has that Uncle Howdy like feud going. Like, that can easily be his Mania feud if they really wanted to. So I think LA Knight goes over here.
Yeah, that's a great call. And this is when I had a tough time deciding on who I wanted to who I thought was going to come out on top. But I'm gonna have to agree with Jiarmani. I think that LA Knight's gonna come out on top here, and it's for this reason. I think that I don't think it's gonna happen clean. I think that Uncle Howdy or Alexa Bliss could get involved because I think they are going to do Uncle Howdy versus Bray Wyatt at Mania. So I think that Uncle Howdy costing Bray Wyatt this match ultimately will set up that feud for Mania. So I think that they put a lot of trust and have a lot of faith in LA Knight, especially after they put him in that segment with The Undertaker. So I think they understand that he's a star, and what better way than to have him pick up a win over someone like Bray Wyatt. That way, I think this will probably be the end of that feud. LA Knight will go his own way, and then Bray Wyatt will be feuding with Uncle Howdy, Alexa Bliss, or however that storyline may develop down the line. But I'm taking LA Knight to come out on top here. So be on the lookout for that. Me and Dillon usually don't disagree a lot with these predictions. So hopefully we'll get a few ones where
I do want to say this. One, after you guys are saying that, I'm not going to change my prediction. Don't feel as good about it after you guys saying. But I will also say, if LA Knight does win, I definitely will not be upset. Definitely a big LA Knight fan. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how the storyline plays out.
I just think that Knight has proven that he's smart, right? Like, we've constantly seen him sort of like outsmart Bray Wyatt over the past few weeks or few months. And so I think he's going to do something to outsmart Bray Wyatt in this match to help him get the win.
I would say, like, to your point, Izzo, that it's more he's kind of playing on Bray Wyatt's aggression or his feelings. Because you remember back the meme, if you guys know what I'm talking about, when he smacked the taste out of Bray Wyatt's mouth, not once but twice, and he had that look on him. I would say the fact that he was able to kind of play on Bray Wyatt's emotions and just like the fractured mind that is Bray Wyatt at the moment, I feel that's like something that's really going to play a big part of. And like, to your point, he's smart, but I feel it's just like it's emotional manipulation. I think that's like the key right there.
Do you think that there's any shot that we're not going to get like Bray Wyatt? Do you think it could be like The Fiend or maybe another character, or maybe it is Uncle Howdy?
I would say, and like talking about that, I feel like Uncle Howdy is going to have something to do with there, or at least like the aura that is Uncle Howdy now. And quite honestly, I feel like Uncle Howdy is going to get revealed at the Rumble, and I think that's going to be like the big like, oh wait, okay, so Bray's like all out of sorts. He gets hit with I forget LA Knight's finishing move, but he gets hit with that, match over. But I feel another thing that could be is that if it's like the pitch black match, it's going to be, when like in my way of saying cinematic style match, is that they're just going to have a lot of plot elements throughout the match. So they may just have like the Fiend mask just hanging there, or do what they did at Extreme Rules and just have somebody with like the Fiend mask, or just pretty much do that whole thing again, like with like certain like plot elements in the crowd. I feel like something like that. I do think we see either Uncle Howdy do something, or we see something with the Fiend.
Yeah. What about you, Dillon?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure we get an Uncle Howdy reveal. I think that they've been playing the long game so much with this that they're going to keep it going. I don't know exactly when we'll get the Uncle Howdy reveal, but I do think Uncle Howdy, I mean, we got to get some sort of involvement from him. I do think, like you said, I think there's a decent chance that Uncle Howdy comes out in place of Bray Wyatt. I do think that there is also a decent chance that we see the Fiend. But like you said, there might be a decent chance we see all three. So who really knows where this can go?
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that it is just going to turn out to be the Fiend, because we saw, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, they brought back the Firefly Funhouse segment. So I don't think that was just for like no reason. I think they could bring back the Fiend. So like, and like Bray Wyatt had a comment that like, you sort of opened this door, like I don't have any control of like what's gonna come out. So I think there is a solid chance that The Fiend could end up wrestling LA Knight. So moving on to the next match, we have the Raw Women's Championship match, which is your champion Bianca Belair taking on your challenger Alexa Bliss. Dillon, who do you have coming out on top and why?
Yeah, so for this one, I'm going Bianca Belair. She's riding this title reign all the way to Mania. I would be truly shocked if she loses the title before WrestleMania, because she truly is one of their big time players right now, especially in the women's division. And when it comes to a WrestleMania main event for the women's division, you can't really see one without Bianca Belair right now. So I think, considering she left the title, went in and won the title at WrestleMania, I think twice now, right? Yeah, because she beat it off Becky, and then did she win at Mania twice?
I do remember she
2 years in
beat
a row.
Sasha Banks.
She beat Sasha.
Yeah, 2 years in a row. Yeah, so she got a big Mania victory 2 years in a row. So I think this is all going to lead to an eventual Bianca Belair loss at Mania. But I don't see her losing the title at Rumble. I think she's going to carry that all the way to Mania and go into Mania as the champion.
What about you, Jiarmani?
Oh yeah, Bianca Belair is folding Alexa Bliss. I don't care what spooky nonsense they got going on with Uncle. It might be the same thing with the Pitch Black match. It might be just like the whole story element with like Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy. All that stuff might be a reason. Like maybe Alexa to kind of try to be strong in defeat and get hyper aggressive. Crack Belair upside the head with a kendo stick until it breaks in half or something. But I feel just like O'Brien, to your point, she's holding it till Mania. She's just been on. She's on just such a run. It's absolutely insane that she's easily one of the top women's wrestlers in the world now. And just at a 2 or 3 year period of just being utterly dominant. And it's crazy because I read up that it couldn't have even been this way because she wasn't the original pick to win the 2021 Royal Rumble, which I thought was nuts. And that's the reason I love the Royal Rumble so much, is just the fact that it's so good at creating main event stars out of somebody who was just an up-and-comer. So I definitely believe Bianca Belair is kind of like that end game boss now, that she's carrying that title all the way to Mania. It's definitely Bianca Belair winning here.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I think there is no shot that Alexa Bliss is going to walk out with that Raw Women's Championship. And I think Belair is just going to beat the piss out of her because of what Bliss did to her on Raw a few weeks ago. So Belair's coming for some revenge, and I think it's going to not necessarily be a squash match, but this ain't going to be a long one. So we'll have to see. I think Uncle Howdy could play a role in this one as well, whether we see maybe another bigger development in the character of Alexa Bliss. I think that's something that could happen as well. So this one, I think it is pretty straightforward, but there are a few things that do make it a bit interesting. So let's move on to another interesting match, which is the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship match. It is your champion Roman Reigns taking on your challenger Kevin Owens. For now, before we get into our thoughts and predictions, Jiarmani, I want to get your thought on something. I don't know if you saw the conspiracies online, but I was talking to Dillon about this before, and there's this theory going around that Kevin Owens did not sign his name to the contract. In fact, he signed Sami Zayn's name instead. Have you seen those theories at all?
I have not. That is news to me.
Yeah. So it's not super popular, but it's starting to gain some momentum now. And I just thought it was interesting because someone did a breakdown of the segment, and they said that the only two people to really touch the contract were Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And towards the end, after KO attacked everyone and left and Sami Zayn came out, you could see once Kevin Owens tosses him the contract, Sami Zayn just opens it really quick, looks at it, and just shuts it. So that's something to keep in mind, because it could be Sami Zayn's name on there, but we're just going to proceed as if it is Kevin Owens, because I think there's also a good chance that Sami Zayn is in the Royal Rumble, but that would be crazy if Sami ends up fighting Roman Reigns. So Jiarmani, why don't you walk us through who you have winning this match?
Come on, it's Roman Reigns. We've seen over the last just the meteoric run that he's on that I feel they should have probably pulled the trigger on a long time ago. The Tribal Chief has been for me my favorite thing in like just the whole bloodline stuff, all that stuff. I'm eating it all up. It's great. I'm not gonna say I was a Roman Reigns hater like a lot of people were back in the day, because I wasn't that much of a I want to say a fan to like keep tabs on that kind of thing. Like I enjoyed Roman Reigns, but the only thing I had a problem with is that he hung on to the Shield gimmick a little too long. I feel like he should have had a gimmick change, kind of like how Seth did and how Ambrose, now John Moxley, did. That with Roman, that he is the end game boss. He's the person that he can only lose right now to WrestleMania. Like anything before that, it's detrimental to the entire bloodline story. At least for me, I feel like that's something that cultivates at WrestleMania. It's the biggest storyline you have going for you, so it elevates WrestleMania like that much more to make it that much more like worth watching as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Do you think he's gonna lose the Universal Championship at WrestleMania?
I think that it's just the fact of the old regime kind of booking themselves into a corner. Me personally, I feel if it's that hard to try to get one title off of Roman Reigns, I would just say give him a new belt and just make that like the undisputed WWE Championship, and then just do something with Raw and just make a new World Heavyweight Championship or something like that. Pretty much how they did it with when Brock Lesnar went to SmackDown. So they brought back the big gold belt for Raw for a few years. I just definitely think just beyond like a side tangent, they need to do something about the title designs altogether. I'm sick of seeing the big WWE logo. Like all the titles look the same besides the IC and US titles now. Do something about that, please.
Yeah, me and Dillon are massive haters of the WWE title designs, and
well, yeah, they hardly have any gold to begin with, so that's the first part.
And so, like, I also agree with the fact that me and Dillon both said that they need to just combine them and just make one title for Roman to hold, and then just make another title to go on Monday Night Raw. So I don't know how much I trust them to make a new title that looks good, but we have seen the North American Championship is the best looking belt in WWE. So obviously they do know how to make a good looking championship. I don't know how likely it is they're going to do that they're going to combine the belts and make a new one. There are reports that Roman is going to defend both nights of WrestleMania. If you ask me, if they're not going to just actually unify the titles, that's the best way to get one off them. But I don't think he's going to lose both at WrestleMania, and I think he's going to lose the WWE Championship, whether that's to Cody, whether that's to Sami, whether that's to Seth. I think he's dropping the WWE Championship, but I think he's going to hold on to the Universal title for a little while. So, Dillon, who do you think is going to come out on top on this match?
Yeah, like you guys said, I mean, it's Roman Reigns. Anything else would be like an absolute pure shock. I would be truly dismayed if it is not Roman Reigns. The Bloodline's the best thing going in WWE. The Tribal Chief is truly on top of the game right now, and he's going to carry this all the way to Mania and beyond, in my opinion. Like you said, I do think there's a good chance he ends up defending both nights and losing the WWE title. Like you said, a little side tangent. Maybe maybe they won't bring in a new title, but maybe once they split them, we'll get a redesign. Because obviously you can have Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. I think if you literally leave it up to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman to design the new title, or even just Paul Heyman, like I think he would do a great job of being like in charge of it, and really like capturing like a new title to then put on Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns would be the first person to hold that new title and bring the prestige to it. But anyway, that doesn't matter. For right now, all I know is Roman Reigns is leaving the Royal Rumble with both titles.
Yep, completely agree. This is similar to Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss. This one is pretty straightforward. There's no shot Kevin Owens walks out with the championships. If Sami Zayn does wrestle, do you think there's any chance that Sami walks out with the titles, Jiarmani?
as much as I want to, because I love Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, when I kind of fell back in love with wrestling back in 2014, Sami Zayn was like my go-to guy. Like I love watching Sami Zayn work. Like that dude is just the rise. He's like, people are comparing him to how Daniel Bryan's rise was. Because at first when the bloodline thing with Sami Zayn, people probably thought it was like, maybe a 2-3 week thing. He's just like Sami Zayn, just like, oh, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief, all that nonsense, hanging out with the bloodline for a little while. And then it just kept going and going and going and going. And then it became the best thing in wrestling again. Because when Sami Zayn got there, the bloodline story was kind of like, just like, I wouldn't say dead in the water, but it was like nothing was rocking the boat. It was
getting there.
Yeah. And then when Sami comes in, it just adds a whole new element. Now it's like you look.
He saved the storyline, dude.
Exactly. He's the outsider now, but then he's the outsider that turned into Sami Uso, damn near. And I feel they're gonna have to don him Sami Uso at some point.
They should have done it by now. I don't know why.
You take Sami Zayn out of this storyline. I mean, you still have a dominant run, but you don't have. You have an incredible, dominant, very impressive Roman Reigns run, and Roman Reigns would still, I'm not saying like he wouldn't be Roman Reigns, because he would be. He's putting out great work, and that's not because of Sami Zayn. That's not why Roman Reigns is putting out this amazing work, and we all know that. But Sami Zayn, like with the addition of Sami Zayn to the storyline, because it added that re-spark of that emotion that we needed, and like that full-fledged, like so much, because when it started, I think we can all remember when it started, and Roman's first like real opponent storyline was against Jey Uso, and this was kind of the beginning of the bloodline. You know what I mean? This new bloodline. We've seen them before wrestle as like a threesome and call themselves the bloodline, but this was like the new, real beginning, start of the bloodline in that feud with Jey Uso, and like that's like it brings me back to sitting where we're at now, and I think of where we started. You know what I mean, with that Roman coming back, and turning heel and joining up with Heyman, and then and that storyline with Jey Uso. It's the things like that. Like when that first started, the thing that made that storyline special was I was like, oh, of course, like Jey Uso is now getting recognized as, dude, this guy can work. Like Jey Uso can work. I'm on the main event J train all day. Like I said, if Jey Uso somehow pulls out a Rumble victory, I'm not against it, dude. And you can do it. And they can book that, dude, and it'll work. Just saying. We can leave that there for now, but
I'm with you. If that were to happen, my goodness, I would be pumped. Like I was so ready.
Main event Jey.
I was so ready for Jey Uso to become Universal Champion back during that feud. I was so ready just to see, like, it's just like they were able to, like, just look at a lot of the people who kind of benefited from this even before Sami Zayn. Jey Uso, probably like one of the biggest ones. Jey Uso, probably not a lot with Jimmy, even though he played a vital role. But it was just weird.
I mean, the Usos as together, though. I mean, like as a tag team.
As a tag team, that's where really, Jimmy got like most of like kind of like the uplifting of the elevation, I should say, of the whole bloodline thing. Jey being looked at as a credible single star, and then you got Solo Sikoa, best NXT call up in ever, pretty much ever. So I feel it's just the only thing like with Jimmy when it came to him being like kind of his own person when it came to like just how he played a role with it all. But then, they just kind of got past all that weirdness of him kind of being that medium between Roman and Jey. Like, hey, Jey, don't go and like do Roman's bidding. And then out of nowhere, just pretty much like, all right, now we're all a family doing all this stuff. But yeah, like going back to Sami, like, I would love for one of the members of the bloodline to come in and be the ones to dethrone Roman, and kind of like you can always play on and like keep progressing that story even down the line. But yeah, just Mark, to answer your question, I think Sami would put like the fans would be behind him even if he got wrecked. Even if he got wrecked, the fans would be so ready. They would hang on every move. Absolutely. I think it would probably be, if anything, it would probably be like a quick like Paul Heyman style. It's 5 minutes, just finisher, spam button, high spot, spear out of nowhere, 1, 2, 3. I would love it. I would love it if even if that was the case. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I think it would be awesome too because
been so emotional.
Sammy, Sammy would get his little flurry of offense in with the haluva kick and the blue thunder bomb, and like the place would go nuts because they're gonna think
dude, Sammy hitting Roman with a blue thunder bomb is
that would be sick.
Brings back the through. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mark. Brings back through the turnbuckle tornado DDT. All those NXT high spots.
It's so sick.
Come on, sick move. He's gonna have to bring that back. He's already started bringing back the top rope plancha and stuff like that. I just love Sammy.
Yeah,
he's awesome. Great, bro. He can work with the best of them.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the Royal Rumble matches. And so the way this is gonna work is before we get into our actual predictions of who we think is going to come out on top, we're going to get into who we think is going to appear for the NXT, any returns and debuts for the men's and women's Rumbles match. We're going to kick off with the women's side of things. So, Dillon, who do you think is going to debut from NXT in the women's Royal Rumble?
So my NXT call-up prediction is I have a question. So the way we're doing this point system, I believe, is we're doing 1 point if you get a correct return, 2 points for an NXT call-up, and 3 points for a debut.
Yeah, so me and Dillon are moving into a point system for our predictions battle. Every match you get right is 1 point. If you guess the Royal Rumble winner right, that's 3 points. And then if you get, like Dillon said, a return in the Rumble is 1 point. NXT call-up is 2 points, and a debut is 3 points.
So I was going to ask I want to choose either member of Toxic Attraction. Can I just say I choose Toxic Attraction, and if they both debut, then I get 2 points, and if either one of them debut, I get 1? Because how do I choose one of them?
I mean, I'll give you both of them if you want to officially predict that they will both get called up. But if they both don't get called up, then you don't get the point. So all right,
then I'll choose Gigi.
Okay, okay. All right. That's fine. I don't think only one of them is going to get called up.
I mean, yeah, then fuck it. I'll choose Toxic Attraction.
Okay.
No, all right. No, yeah, I'll do that. I want Toxic Attraction. Because even if it is one of them, the other one will be there. So
I just think there's no shot that they're only going to call one of them up. So.
No, yeah, I agree. But Toxic Attraction.
All right. What about you, Jiarmani?
I mean, Toxic Attraction, I like that one. It's like funny watching NXT, and they kind of like they were teasing at them kind of like going in their own direction. Obviously it was more of as a way to like sucker Roxanne Perez. I love Roxanne Perez, by the way. To like, do that whole table spot and kind of like get that whole triple threat thing going again. But I think they can actually push it as a story. But like if one of them showed up without the other, and then like dissension, all that stuff. So I love the pick of Toxic Attraction. But for me, I feel this is probably like maybe one of the more realistic ones for me in terms of my predictions that I sent. It's Indy Hartwell. And I know that Candice LeRae, I believe, is still injured, so I don't think she's participating in the Rumble. But the way I've been keeping up with NXT a lot, and Indy Hartwell was kind of on a rise. She was on a little winning streak, and she was kind of making herself out to be a credible contender. She lost in the women's championship match to not Perez. She lost to Mandy Rose and then lost to Perez before she won the title. And she's been kind of like hasn't really been doing anything much of note besides just being kind of just like that one person that they built up to lose to like the next person coming up. So I think Indy, her time in NXT is kind of finished. I think she has a lot more to do in terms of the main roster anyway. So that's why I'm going with Indy Hartwell. Just seeing the pattern of her matches recently. I think Indy Hartwell will be a good choice.
Yeah, and Candice LeRae just recently came back from an injury, and she is in the Royal Rumble match. And just worth noting, there are 7 women declared for the Women's Royal Rumble thus far, and there are 15 declared for the Men's Royal Rumble as of recording this, which is Thursday before Friday Night SmackDown. I think Indy Hartwell's another great choice, along with both members of Toxic Attraction, but I'm going to have to go with Zoe Stark.
That was going to be my other pick.
I'll be honest, I don't watch NXT that much, but I know she had the feud with Nikita Lyons, who Nikita just got hurt. best wishes out to her. So I think Zoe Stark is someone who seems like she's ready to get called up to the main roster. And I think hopefully she's someone that will just go straight to SmackDown and help the SmackDown women's division out a bit, because it's very unbalanced, the talent between Raw and SmackDown. So
I love Zoe Stark. Her finisher is like the whole back body drop into a GT. I love that move. That is absolutely. I need more creativity with somebody's like people's finishers. But my thing is, I love Zoe Stark. I love what she does in the ring. But seeing her heel promo after she turned heel was, I don't know about you guys, one of the most funniest things I've seen on TV like last year. I am undeniable. So I think when she has like some mic skills, she still needs to work out. But I love Zoe Stark overall as a performer. So I love that pick.
Yeah. So there you have it. Toxic Attraction, Zoe Stark, and Indy Hartwell is our 3 NXT call-ups for the Women's Royal Rumble match. Jiarmani, why don't you give us someone who you think is going to return in the Women's Royal Rumble match? Because if I'm being honest, I think you probably have the best one.
I probably have the best one because it's kind of like how it was with like Cody before he just up and declared for it. But I'm going with Naomi. And I feel Naomi is probably going to, if she does return, she's going to return kind of early. With like Royal Rumble matches, I love Royal, like you can kind of tell like it has a beginning, a middle, and then an end for good Royal Rumble matches. They're not just all mush in the middle. Like entrance 1 through 10 tell a story, and then 10 through 20 tell a different story, and then obviously then it technically has 4 acts, because then 20 through 30 you got a lot more of the big names already in the match now, and a lot of like the plot elements and storyline progression, all that stuff. And then you have the match within the match, like the cat and mouse, like the final 6, the final 4, and then down to the final 2. So my thing with Naomi, I think she comes out early and the pop is going to be immense. I feel it's going to be like a combination of the love people have for Naomi, and then like the people who just wanted to see Sasha Banks or Mercedes Moné now and Naomi return together. I feel like all that's just going to generate in just a huge burst of energy. And her, like, just her entrance all together, it's just like with like Feel the Glow and all that stuff. People are going to lose their minds. And I feel like she's going to go far, because they have to get have to put Naomi on a run, and they have to get her right.
Do you think that she's going to return with like her normal theme and character, like the Feel the Glow stuff?
I feel maybe off rip, like on like the initial like return to the Rumble match. Yeah. But then I feel like eventually, like it may start bringing about a gimmick change, because I feel like even with like the Feel the Glow as a gimmick, you can mold that into something in a superstardom, because she has superstar written all over her. So you can make the Feel the Glow, even if you turned her heel, even like, I'm not saying that's like the bet, but turn her into a badass. Like legit, people are gonna hang on everything with her, because like people just had that love for Naomi, even then, and then even still today, with just the amount of support that she gets. But I feel like I don't think you need to change the gimmick. You just have to do right by it, because she's had that gimmick through the previous regime, and I feel like with Triple H at the helm, I feel like he can have the potential to make that gimmick in particular just into a badass and become like a future world champion.
Yeah, I think Naomi's. Oh, I'll go. I think Naomi is a great person to dethrone Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, because she already had a great SmackDown title run before, and I think she slept on in the ring. But go ahead, Dill.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think to touch on what you said about like a possible gimmick change, I do think we'll get like still have like that general like Feel the Glow like type like aesthetic. I just think if we do get the Naomi return, it's going to be tweaked a little. I think it's going to be probably like pushed to make like, I think maybe just a little more serious. I don't mean that in the negative way. I just mean I think that she's going to get more freedom from creative when we get this Naomi return. Like I think we're going to get like, I just think we're going to get a lot more like personality out of Naomi rather than a gimmick. I think she's really going, if we do get this Naomi return, I think we're really going to get like an incredible, like passionate run, and not like a whole transformation of Naomi, but almost like this evolution into her becoming hopefully one of these top tier stars. Because she, like you guys said, she really has the potential. Like she's amazing. She's already had a world title run. And I think with her time away, I think it has made people, like realize even more, how much of a star she was. And her tag team title run with Sasha was, in my opinion, like that was, even though she did have her SmackDown title run before that, her tag title run with Sasha, in my opinion, which I was hoping they would get better booking, and it obviously ended up not happening. Did not end up the way we all wanted it to. But I saw that as a potential, like really elevating her into a main event star, and then eventually breaking them up and doing a really good Sasha Naomi feud, and just putting Naomi over and having like her really get up there as top tier star. Obviously, we know that didn't end up happening, the way that they probably wanted it to at the time. We wanted it, all the fans wanted it to, but more than anything, I just want to see her back in the ring. I'm sure you guys can agree. And the SmackDown Women's Division could use her right now. Like, boy, could they use her. So I'm all in for a Naomi Charlotte Flair Mania match if we can make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, I guess it's my turn now too, right?
Yeah. I'll go. I can go first.
Yeah, you go.
So for my return, this may be, I don't know if I would say obvious, but I got Chelsea Green. And now Chelsea Green has reportedly, she's been signed to WWE for quite some time. She's just been waiting creative direction. And I think what better way to bring her back than at the Royal Rumble? I think Chelsea Green is another person who's really slept on in the ring. We've seen her in NXT briefly, then she got caught up, and then she fell victim to the poor booking of the NXT call-ups, and then she got released. And then she wrestled in a few different promotions. She's a former Impact Knockouts champion, Impact Knockouts tag team champion as well. So I think that Chelsea Green is someone who very could easily return in the Royal Rumble match. I think she's someone who's probably another good bet to return in the match itself. So there you have it. There's Chelsea Green. Dillon, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, so why don't you jump into your return for who you have?
I will. Just needed a break. Took a quick nap.
That was a quick ass nap. Shit.
Yeah, had to take a quick nap. I was getting tired. Anyway, we're back. My return is also that would be a very cool return, by the way. And I'm also going to. I have something that can touch on that return a little bit later into the podcast. With Chelsea Green. It's funny that you mentioned her, but my return for the Women's Royal Rumble, I'm going all out. I'm going for the dream match. Give me Lita. Give it to me. There's been reports that she's been offered matches. They've tried to get her back. And I think we can all agree the Lita versus Charlotte Flair dream match would be absolutely incredible. The Lita versus Becky Lynch dream match would be absolutely incredible. Lita versus Bianca Belair would be absolutely incredible. But me personally, I think Lita versus Charlotte Flair would make the most sense. Just being that Charlotte is so good at, and I mean this in the best way possible, so good at being unlikable. She's so good at being a heel. And whoever you put Lita against, if you put her against Becky, could be an all-time If you put Lita against Becky, could be an all-time Stone Cold versus The Rock type women's match that we've never seen before. I mean, two women who are as over as they are. I would say it would be on the level of Bianca and Becky last year. Possibly even bigger, just being so that Lita is, would be so unexpected and being the legend she is. But I do think the way to go with that would probably end up being Lita versus Charlotte Flair. Like I said, I think it would, because Charlotte would be able to get so much heat behind her. And like I said, it's just going to be hard if you do have Lita return. I mean, you can't make her the heel. And so the last thing you want to do, in my opinion, is put her up against a top babyface like Bianca or Becky. Even though it would make for a great feud, either one. But yeah, I'm going with Lita. I'm going all in on the dream match. I want it to happen. Like I said, Naomi versus Charlotte would also be honestly just as I would be just as pleased if we do end up getting that match. But yeah, I don't know how likely it is to happen. I thought we might get a Lita return when Charlotte Flair came out on Raw the other day. I was really, really thinking that we were about to get Lita. Unfortunately, we didn't. But yeah, I mean, what other way is better to end her career with a proper, like I said, dream match? So having Lita come back and really make her final mark on the women's evolution, because like I said, I'm talking a lot right now, but with when Lita left, I mean, Lita is such a pioneer of the women's division, and with all these women that she's wrestled, with all these women that she's helped train, like Charlotte Flair and Becky and stuff, with being a trainer at the Performance Center and all this stuff. I mean, she has seen these women come up through NXT, and she has made a huge impact on the women's evolution, whether she was on screen or not at the time that it was happening, because of her work backstage and obviously her work before. So I think it would be a huge full circle moment, a great way to end Lita's career, Lita versus Charlotte Flair. So give me the Lita return in the Royal Rumble.
Jiarmani, do you think there's any shot that we get a Mandy Rose return in the Women's Royal Rumble match?
Oh my God. I mean, judging by O'Brien's take, you kind of have to, right? If you bring in Toxic Attraction into the Royal Rumble. But I would say that whole situation with Mandy Rose, I feel like I don't know. Again, I don't know the whole story. I don't know what went on behind closed doors and like what information was given out to them that hasn't been released to us. For me, from a wrestling standpoint, I feel that Mandy Rose was done dirty. And just as a fan, I would love to see her return, because I feel there's so many things that you can just have her do. She spent the last year and a half revitalizing her career, being looked at as one of the top performers that I feel that WWE always wanted her to be, and where like literally she evolved into her perfect form. I would say like that's like what every wrestler tries to be. They try, like, you go through stages of your career, find what works, and then you go on with that, and that's like what your career is going to be defined as. I feel that her defining moment didn't really get started, because again, you could have brought that up to the main roster and she could have instantly been challenging for a women's championship, like even on her debut.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, she had the third longest NXT women's title run in history, and she really did a lot for the NXT women's division. Personally, I don't think it's likely that she's gonna return to WWE. I know she said in the Tamron Hall interview that just like never say never, but I think if she wants to keep doing this stuff that she's doing with like her fan time account and stuff and having all this success outside of WWE, I don't know if she's going to be allowed to do that while she's signed to WWE. So I think it's unlikely, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it happens. What about you, Dillon?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of on the same boat. I wouldn't be completely shocked if it happens, but I would be a little bit shocked if it does happen. I think she's probably, in my opinion, to me, just through the hints she's given us, it seems that, in my opinion, that she's happy doing what she's doing. And I mean, by all means, if she can go make more money to not take bumps anymore, I mean, more power to her. Seriously. So yeah, like I said, I wouldn't be completely shocked, but I would be a little bit surprised. And I think it's possible, but I do think it's unlikely.
Yeah, and so Mandy Rose is also reportedly on a main roster contract, which means once you get released, you cannot compete for 90 days outside of WWE. So if she was to go to another company, it wouldn't be for like probably around 2 or so more months. So that's definitely something worth noting and worth keeping in mind. Jiarmani, who is a debut that you have for the Women's Royal Rumble match?
I don't even know if you can call this a debut. I mean, I'm probably cheating the system a little bit, but Kana. And for people who don't know, that is what Asuka went by back in her time over in Japan. And I know she was like, over the last couple of weeks before, like, she kind of just fell off the face of the earth. She was She was doing the Alexa Bliss stuff, but then I believe her final match that we saw her when she faced Rhea Ripley, I don't know, maybe I got my dates wrong, but she had no face makeup, that like none of the green stuff. And then I love how she uses the mist. I always love the mist as just like as something just wrestlers used. I thought like that's just an awesome touch. But yeah, I feel Asuka with her cryptic tweets and stuff, and kind of looking like she's going back to like her a killer clown gimmick that she was using over in Japan. I feel she may still be called Asuka, but if she goes back to being called Kana, I feel she's gonna debut in the Rumble and make a huge impact. I can't wait to see what she does.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that's a great call because that's also the same thing that I was sort of thinking about, is that she's gonna debut at the Rumble with like this new gimmick. So I'm gonna allow it for the predictions. So there you go.
Sweet.
Dillon,
first day on the job and already breaking rules. Let's go.
Dillon, why don't you give me your debut for the Women's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, so my debut for the Women's Royal Rumble is Kylie Rae. I do think that she is going to make her WWE debut in the Royal Rumble. We've seen her work main event shows recently, some WWE live shows, and there wasn't any reports on if she was actually signed to a full-time contract. I believe it currently might have been on a match-by-match basis. And kind of don't know the full details. Mark, you might know a little more about that.
The reports are she is not officially signed yet to WWE, but I don't know how much I buy that because I thought that's a great pick for as a debut.
Yeah, so but like I said, we've seen her. I don't think the casual fans might not be as familiar with her, but the Royal Rumble has 30 spots and there's only 7 announced. So I think the WWE can throw out a bone for the wrestling marks and give us a Kylie Rae WWE debut.
Yep, couldn't agree more. That's a great choice. In WWE, when she wrestled on Main Event, she went by Brianna Ray. So in case you happen to just see that, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
On the Indies, she went by Kylie Rae. So I think that's a great pick. And I'm going to go to my debut, and then I want to bring up something else really quick. But for my debut, I have Deonna Purrazzo. I think that's a sneaky good one because I can't remember who it was, but a few weeks ago on Raw, someone snuck into a match and I think helped Bayley win. And people were then saying that was Deonna Purrazzo. I may have missed it, but I don't think that person got revealed. I could be wrong. Because I usually miss the first hour or so of Raw because I have work. So I think Deonna Purrazzo is a great person who could debut in WWE. You know, she's had a lot of success outside of that, and I think she would really translate well to the WWE audience.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I watched Deonna Purrazzo wrestle live in a warehouse with like 20 people. That's another. She's another one I saw wrestle live, like when she was very early on. I think it was like I forget. She went to like a relatively bigger company, like her first like bigger company, like literally like 2 weeks after I saw her live, and I was like, oh shit, good thing I saw her. But yeah, fun fact. But I think that's a great pick.
It's always crazy, just like how wrestlers, like most of these wrestlers start their journey of just like in a bingo hall with like 15 people watching, and then like now you're on the biggest stage in the world at like WrestleMania or something. I liked Purrazzo, but just to let you know, Mark, that apparently, because I remember it was they did it on like WWE's YouTube channel or something. You saw the like reveal at WWE.com. It was Xia Li, and I remember everybody saying, "Oh, that's Deonna Purrazzo," but yeah, it was Xia Li, and then it really just didn't go anywhere from there after that. It was so weird. I feel like they could have made something like I know that she helped Damage Control, and I feel like they probably could have used it like a new member or something like that. But like I don't know, they just like dropped that whole angle, and it was so weird.
Yeah, that was strange. And to do it on like, because do you know, was that like YouTube exclusive?
I think you could probably find it on their YouTube channel, or it was like a WWE.com exclusive that made it then to YouTube after a little while. Or I think you could have seen it on Twitter as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird. That is weird because like I don't know why they just dropped that whole thing, but I'm still standing by Deonna Purrazzo. I think she's a great pick. And so, like Dillon said, there's only 7 entrants announced for the Women's Royal Rumble match, and there's been a lot of complaints about WWE for not featuring the Women's Legends on Raw is 30. We only got Alundra Blaze, and I completely agree with that. I think they were extremely underrepresented, but I think we're also in store for a lot of legends to return during the Royal Rumble match. So I still think they should have had women's legends there because there's a ton of them. But I think if you have some appear on Raw, then also appear in the Royal Rumble, that like shock factor may not also be there. So that's something just worth keeping in mind. I think we are in store for a lot of legends to return during this Women's Royal Rumble match. Dillon, why don't you kick us off with who you think is going to come out on top for the Women's Royal Rumble match? This is a big prediction.
Yes. So my official pick, I'm going with the heart, I'm going with the brain, I'm going with kind of all of the above, and I'm ignoring the chaos that is wrestling Twitter. All right, and they've gotten into my mind the past couple of days, making me overthink it. But no, I'm not doing it. The winner of your 2023 Women's Royal Rumble will be, and in my opinion, needs to be Rhea Ripley. I mean, we need to finally elevate Rhea Ripley into the top tier superstar that she is. She is up there with the Bianca Belairs, with the Becky Lynches, with the Charlottes. That's where she is. That's where she belongs. She should have beaten Charlotte for the NXT title at Mania a few years ago. That was ridiculous. Why did we need to give Charlotte the NXT title? You can say, oh, we wanted her to elevate the NXT title. Well, she didn't. So that obviously couldn't have been their goal. And if it was, they were bad at that too. It's been too long. We've gotten a Rhea Ripley title run before, but we've still, in my opinion, and it's been by no fault of her own, the proper booking has just never really like gone all in on her like we have seen. That it looks like that's kind of the direction that we're going over the last few months. Her run with the Judgment Day has been incredible. She's putting out some of her best work that we've ever seen. In ring, she is one of the best in the world. I will argue that until the day I die. Rhea Ripley is one of the greatest women's wrestlers on the planet. She can do so much. She's so talented, so good on the mic. One of my favorites on the roster. And I think having her get a match with Bianca Belair would be an absolute it would just be an absolute one banger. It would be, my opinion, probably a 5-star match candidate, especially at WrestleMania. But it would also be a great representation of the future of this women's division. I mean, that would be, you have Bianca Belair, who has established herself as one of the main leaders of this women's division, and I think if you have a Rhea Ripley Royal Rumble win, that establishes herself right up there with the best of them. And I think it would be really cool to see, because I think it's been really cool and awesome to see these women like Sasha and Becky and Charlotte and Ronda. I mean, I say Ronda because she was a part of the main event. That's the only reason why. And Bailey. It's been so amazing to see women like this completely revolutionize women's wrestling in WWE. And I think that this is just the next step in creating your next big star in Rhea Ripley. So and like I said, you can have her win and she can go against Bianca and you can make a story and it would be great. And then you also have a story there with Charlotte. I mean, she could go right on over to SmackDown. SmackDown could definitely use another great woman. And then you have that storyline already written and Rhea Ripley ready to get business done. And Charlotte Flair maybe finally gets a WrestleMania loss.
Yeah, I mean, Rhea Ripley is a great pick. I just think that I think she's going to go after the SmackDown Women's title if she does win the Rumble, because you have that history there with Charlotte already. Plus, I think they could move the entire Judgment Day to SmackDown because I think they are going to do Dom versus Ray at Mania, and Ray is on SmackDown. So I think that could also be a way to sort of start that feud as well. But Rhea Ripley, great pick. I would definitely be pretty pumped if she did win the Royal Rumble because it feels like she hasn't been doing much wrestling lately. She's just been sort of the leader of the Judgment Day. Like, I don't remember the last time she wrestled besides when she just whooped Tozawa all over the place. So, which was crazy. But Jiarmani, who do you think is going to come out on top in the Women's Royal Rumble?
Oh man, my goodness. I got it. I gotta go with Zaya. I'm just playing. I'm going with Rhea Ripley. Yeah, like just hooded Zia Lee just chucking bodies over the top rope. That would make for a perfect picture. but no, definitely with Rhea Ripley. More for the fact of I know they kind of hinted at it at Survivor Series last year with leading up to Survivor Series anyway. I believe it was an episode of Raw where Rhea Ripley interacted with Bianca for before War Games. So I think that's where WWE wants to go. But for me,
booking.
Yeah, long-term booking, exactly. And like O'Brien, to your point, I feel like that's going to be like your next like top 2 stars to bring in that next generation of women's wrestling in WWE. While you still have you still have Lynch, you still have Charlotte, you're gonna still have Bayley as those already established stars. But then you're gonna have those stars on the come up, and like in Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair right now. And you're gonna have the women coming after her, like Roxanne Perez when she's ready to go to the main roster. Zoe Stark, to your point, Nikita Lyons, all the like pretty much leading the charge for that young next generation, that new generation of women's wrestling.
Yeah, and Rhea Ripley is young as hell, bro. She's like 26.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah.
So she hasn't even sniffed her prime of her career yet. And to your point, I feel that she didn't need to lose to Charlotte at I forget what Mania we're at now.
Yeah, I think it was the COVID Mania.
It was most definitely in the COVID one, and I loved her ring attire during that match too, like the Dragon Ball tribute. I thought that was awesome. But Rhea Ripley. The thing is with Rhea Ripley is that people are so behind her, and like she's like obviously they try to make the Judgment Day as kind of like a comedy heel group. That I feel that if Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble, like I feel like everybody wants to see that happen. She's gonna become a baby face. Like you're probably gonna have to turn her face, especially if she's going with Charlotte, which I hope they would. I would much rather see that just to get her get back with Charlotte after pretty much, because when you think about it, when she lost to Charlotte, that derailed all her momentum. She had to build herself up again. So I feel either way, if you go up against Belair, they're gonna find somebody to boo. And I think they're ready to see Belair drop the title when WrestleMania comes around.
Yeah, so and you don't want her getting booed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like,
I agree.
Like with Charlotte Flair, she's so good at being a heat magnet that she can turn heel on a dime, and everybody will be all ready for it.
And, immediately. And then it's also on top of that, you add the fact that it's like once she if she's going up against Charlotte Flair, like we were saying, Charlotte's so good at being a heel that she wouldn't like. The only reason they would have to turn her babyface is because of how much pop she would have behind her and how much like the crowd would be behind her. So it almost like puts you in a perfect situation where you don't even have to go for that full blown like babyface turn. They can still rock that like funny, dark, like heelish, like tweener gimmick because Charlotte Flair is the perfect person to have that against.
And it's like Charlotte Flair really is only a babyface now because she took the title off Ronda, who just everyone hated. So it doesn't matter who you had.
I don't even know if I would say she's a babyface right now.
She is.
I think she's babyface by association, though. They
tried. Like I don't know. Like she didn't give me a lot of babyface vibes the other day when she brought out Rick.
I don't know, man. I mean, I think she's a babyface, or at least she's a tweener, maybe.
We'll see. I mean, well, and it's also you hit a point like that when you're so established, you're gonna get booed and you're gonna get cheered regardless of what you are, just because of who you are.
I feel like that'd be a great story for Charlotte Flair to kind of act like kind of like something to play on when it comes to like you're like she's trying so hard to be a good baby face that like she still has she still has like heel tactics that she still has to work out, and it starts like kind of like being like a downfall. But I mean that's just like fantasy booking me going crazy.
Yeah, so Jiarmani, me and Dillon had a thought a few weeks ago, or maybe even months ago, that we said it a while ago that Rhea Ripley needs to win the Royal Rumble and then turn the belt black. What do you think about that?
That would be awesome. Book it today. No, book it yesterday, because that yes. I don't like it. Like I said before, like the titles look like just all the same. I don't like that. Give it an aesthetic, and I feel Rhea Ripley. Like I would be 100% for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that would be sick. And for my pick, I'm going to have to go with Rhea Ripley as well. I was sort of trying to decide between Liv Morgan or Rhea Ripley. I think there's a chance that Naomi can win. I would be super pumped if Naomi wins, but I just don't think they have faith in Liv Morgan anymore, especially after the downfall she took after dropping the title to Ronda, which, again, is no fault to her own. It's just poor booking. So I'm going to have to go with Ronda as well, but let's move on to the
Ronda. We both had that look.
Rhea, my bad. Oof, thank you for that.
The wrong RR.
Yeah, we were like,
I don't even want to put that out there to manifest it. So,
Jesus,
I also think that Rhea.
Shit, if that happened,
hey, you know what? Ronda Rousey would be a perfect addition to the Royal Rumble match, though. Be like Brock Lesnar 2020, and then you got Rhea Ripley. Get the fuck out the ring. The pop would be insane, and be like, if she doesn't win, re-riot. Simple.
Yeah, that's true. I think Rhea Ripley could set the record for most eliminations in the Women's Rumble, because it's at 8 right now.
Oh yeah, Michelle McCool, for whatever reason, just like, see you, bye. Fuck you, bye. Oh, you're upcoming star. Fuck you, bye. I haven't been here in like 5 years.
Yeah, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. And I think there's a chance she could appear in the Men's Royal Rumble as well. But let's move on to the men's side of things. So, Dillon, why don't you kick us off with your NXT debut for the Men's Royal Rumble?
Yeah, so in my opinion, this is the biggest lock of an NXT call-up, and that would be Carmelo Hayes making his way to the main roster via the Royal Rumble. If you ask me, I can't name a guy on NXT, in my opinion, who's more ready for the main roster than Carmelo Hayes. In my opinion, like I said, I don't know what I've said that 5 times now, sorry, but Carmelo Hayes is a bona fide superstar. I mean, the guy is so talented, so good on the mic, so good in the ring, and he's not holding any titles finally. So it's just about time we get him on the main roster. And what better place than a debut? This is an NXT call-up that would have a huge pop. In my opinion, the fans are aware of who Carmelo Hayes is, and the fans are calling for this man to get called up to the main roster. So I think we have plenty of great feuds ahead involving Carmelo Hayes, and I think this is going to be his debut, and I think his match with Apollo is probably going to be probably his NXT send-off. Especially if we get this debut at the Rumble. But I'm sure you guys would agree, but Carmelo Hayes is a bona fide superstar, man. I can't wait to see him on the main roster I can't wait to see him on the main roster on a weekly basis.
For sure. Couldn't agree more. What about you, Jiarmani?
I love Carmelo Hayes, man. He's a Massachusetts kid, just down over in Worcester, that's where he grew up. So like I love like even when I love like the NXT, like I know it's not called the breakout tournament because I know that's ROH's thing, but like I forgot what they call it, but the tournament to bring in young stars to be able to be like that next batch of just like NXT upstarts to carry the NXT going forward in the next few years pretty much. But yeah, I love Carmelo Hayes as a pick. I feel like that's a really good lock. My thing is that I'm going with Cameron Grimes. I'm not sure if he's hurt, but if he's not, then we haven't seen him in ages. So I feel like he's like, if somebody was going to get called to the main roster that I can legitimately see, it's Cameron Grimes. And the reason I go with Cameron Grimes, not like obviously because we haven't seen him in a while, I feel like he's done all that he really can do in NXT. I feel like Carmelo Hayes is that he, like the way NXT was, like, and I think the way they were going back to be, is that they always have that passing of the torch between like the established NXT stars that are ready to go up to the main roster, kind of putting over the next big things of NXT. Like you can do that when they came like to Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker, even though I think Braun Breaker is a terrible name, at least for him. Like you can call him Rex Steiner, and that would be perfect. But I mean, hey, that's not my like place to say, I guess. With Gargano before he ultimately ended up on Raw, Grayson Waller was the one who got put over by beating him within him like just bleeding him to a pulp, and now he's one of the top stars of NXT, and he's probably going to win the NXT championship at some point. And like that's the way I think NXT as functioned, and like that's what has allowed it to thrive, to be like an endless cycle. So like you have like the big blow off matches, and then you have some of the NXT stars go to the main roster. You have some of them stick around, and then be that next batch of guys to build up NXT. And then it's pretty much what it was. It's a feeder system. Obviously, like they changed it to be kind of like a third brand, but I feel Carmelo still has unfinished business in NXT. So that's why I went with Cameron Grimes.
Yeah, Cameron Grimes is another great pick. And like you said, he's someone I completely forgot about. Like when you sent me your predictions and you said Cameron Grimes, I was just like, dude, like I forgot he even existed. Because like he hasn't been in NXT, and there was reports because he did show up on the main roster a while ago, and then they just haven't done anything with him. So I think this is a great way to sort of introduce him into the WWE universe and the main roster. But going back to someone you mentioned, my pick for an NXT call-up is Grayson Waller. And so I don't think he's going to win. I don't think he's going to beat Braun Breaker, and I think he's another good person who can appear in the Royal Rumble match. And he is, I don't want to say he's older, but I think he's like 32-ish. So he's definitely someone who, if you're going to call him up, probably do it sooner rather than later if you feel like that he's ready. And there's reports that a lot of people in WWE are impressed with the work that he has been doing down in NXT. So I think we have 3 really solid options for people in NXT who could get called up. Did you guys see the fight at the Performance Center between him and Braun? Do you think that's real or not?
No, that has to be kayfabe, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely got to be like just a part of a story, because for me it was the camera work that the Performance Center person was. If there's a fight going on, you're not going like this with your phone looking behind you. Oh my god, guys!
She was like, whoa, whoa, there is a fight going on. What in the heck?
See, for me, it was the way that people tried to break up the fight. They did that classic, like, I'm going to break it up, but like, we don't really do anything. So
you keep allowing them to keep hitting each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I thought for a second, I was like, dude, this is like, I don't know. It's like maybe real.
It looked like there were some stiff shots.
I mean, Braun looked like he was laying into him. That's what I was like, dude, he like looks like he's actually trying to like fuck him up when he was.
But I just think that's also part of Braun probably, and that's also I think they're really trying to sell this storyline as a personal one.
Yeah, I mean, he did put himself through the wall last week on NXT, so just because the whole thing with that story is kind of Waller kind of trying to get in Breaker's head and like forcing him to be as aggressive as possible. So I believe the last match that they had, it ended in a DQ, or not a DQ, but a no contest, because Braun ran into the turnbuckle and busted the turnbuckle, and then like I guess knocked himself out or something like that. All I know, it was kind of like it was shenanigans, I guess, if you want to call it that. But yeah, pretty much it's just Braun being hyper aggressive, and that's what I guess is like driving like Waller's case to dethroning him as NXT champion.
Yeah, so there you have it. There's 3 great NXT call-ups. And Jiarmani, why don't you give us your return for the men's Royal Rumble match?
Oh my God. I feel like there's it's kind of like the same thing. You haven't heard from this guy in a while, and you kind of like the reports from what I saw, if I remember correctly, he should be back any day now. But not just he shows up. He has to come back with his NXT gimmick. And I'm talking about the glorious Bobby Roode.
Yes.
Imagine the fanfare if you just hear his theme song start playing.
Glorious.
Exactly.
I won't give in. I won't give in.
I like whatever happened to that kind of creativity with wrestling theme songs? I don't understand it. But with Robert Roode, he may not do a whole lot in a return to the Rumble, but I still feel that they kind of need to. I feel like there's those kind of. He's probably going to be on like the lower end of the spectrum in terms of like big surprise. Even though people would love to see him, I know I wouldn't. Like I love Robert Roode. I think he still hasn't gotten his fair shake to be like reach his full potential in WWE. Like in NXT, it was great. So I feel for him going back to the truly glorious gimmick and kind of getting that gimmick over again to be looked at as a credible threat for like an IC title or a US title, wherever you want to put him, which is probably on SmackDown if I remember correctly. But for him, I can absolutely see Robert Roode returning and maybe getting something to do going into WrestleMania for sure.
Yeah, I love Robert Roode because that was like the golden years of NXT is when like I was super into it with like him and Shinsuke and Finn and KO and Sammy, and he has one of the like best entrances in like NXT, and that was like back in the day when they used to do that stuff, man. He had a great theme song, so hopefully they do bring him back and give him that same gimmick. So I would love to see Robert Roode in the Men's Royal Rumble match. Dillon, who's your return?
My return is it's a return / a debut. And that is because woo, you know it. Oh, radio, take me everywhere you are. What if I just sang the whole theme song? Anyway, yeah, I think, like I said, it is a return / a debut. Woo, because we are not only getting the return of the mayor of Strong Island. Woo, you know it. We are getting the debut of Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. I believe the man will be coming back to WWE, not as Zack Ryder, but as his real name, Matt Cardona. Matt Cardona just had arguably the best year of his entire career on the indie circuit. Put out some absolute bangers in several different companies, AEW,
Deathmatch
NW.
King.
Yeah, dude, Deathmatch King. Matt Cardona. Like, come on. There has been reports that he has apparently filed a trademark for the woo, you know it. And I believe there was another one that he
and Zack Ryder.
Was it Zack Ryder?
Yep.
So so we'll see if he does come back as Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona. But in my opinion, I just think it would be really, really cool for him to come out as Matt Cardona, because I think that's what he kind of deserves, in my opinion. I think, not like I said, I love Zack Ryder, one of the most like misused wrestlers of recent memory, in my opinion. I mean, who can forever forget his run with the Internet Championship? Just an absolute. Oh wait, sorry, gotta plug in my laptop. Just an absolute banger.
Yeah, so me and Dillon are huge fans of Zack Ryder.
So let me say this really quick before I have to run and grab my charger. I'm so sorry. It's like across the room. It's because I got all these lights plugged in. But yeah, I think we're gonna get the return of Zack Ryder, whether it's Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona. I think there's a chance we could get him as Matt Cardona, but that's my pick for a return would be Zack Ryder / Matt Cardona.
Yeah, that's a great pick, and I will never forgive WWE for having him win the IC title at Mania and then having him lose the next night. I mean, It makes me so angry just thinking about it, because he was so over on top of the ladder, everyone's screaming, woo, 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 and then he loses the next night.
Yeah, it's just like we want you. Oh, you guys want to be happy? Okay, you can be happy for a night. All right, now pack your shit up. You're going to lose to Miz tonight. Miz is going over.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Give me 1 more minute to talk about Zack. Sorry, I panicked because of the computer issues. But yeah, dude, like one of the most misused, underbooked wrestlers of recent memory, like you just said, that WrestleMania moment in his home state of New York. Woo, you know it. With the IC title, immediately loses it to the Miz the next night. So heartbreaking. But yeah, I think, Matt Cardona has really taken the wrestling world by storm this past year. He won Independent Wrestler of the Year for several different awards. I forget what company gave him that award. And he's also the husband of Chelsea Green. So I believe that would, kind of bring it all together. And I think a Zack Ryder proper last run with WWE, he really deserves it, man, in my opinion.
Yeah, couldn't
And
agree
I
more.
believe he's also great friends with Cody in real life as well. So
He is best friends even.
yeah, that's
a great pick. I'm surprised no one said The Rock. Do you think The Rock is going to return at the Rumble, Dillon?
So me, if I'm a betting man, if I was a betting man, I would say a heartbreaking no. To many, it wouldn't be that heartbreaking to me, to be honest. Depending on how the Rumble ends up going, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But like I said, if it does happen, I would not be shocked by any means. I mean, they've hinted at it so many times. But like I said, I don't know. I in my opinion, I think we would have maybe gotten, I don't know about more hints or maybe less hints toward the fact that this storyline with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline is doing more. So I don't know. I really can't tell you. I don't know.
What about you, Jiarmani?
For me, it's been so if you were to have asked me maybe this time last year, before Cody came back, before Sami Zayn and the Bloodline thing really started taking off, then yeah, I probably would have if it was this time and it was that part of the timeline, I think The Rock probably would have came back. I still believe The Rock is going to come back, but I just don't think a lot of people are anticipating him being in the Rumble. You don't need that. You don't need that. If anything, it would probably be better off that he comes in and costs Roman Reigns either one or both of the titles before Mania, and it's oh my god, yeah. And then because the story can write itself. You don't need a championship to be involved in it. You can make it a plot element, but then I feel that feud can be so much bigger than any championship could contain. But yeah, I think, and that also makes it so weird with the Rumble too, because if it is how a lot of people are thinking that he returns at the Rumble, you can't not have him win it. But again, he doesn't need something like that. But I the hints are there for me because with the Royal Rumble poster that we saw recently, the bolts and all that, and how electrifying the poster is, and then they dropped new Rock merch through WWE Shop, and then I think it's BT Sports WWE on BT Sports. They did a bunch of fantasy booking things, and The Rock returning was one of them. So it was you can't be teasing us that much. It's kind of the same thing with Bray Wyatt. It's everybody knows it could happen, and then it happens, and people still get excited anyway. So I would definitely not be surprised, but I kind of am anticipating The Rock, his aura is going to be there somehow, some way.
Yeah, I think I think there's a better chance he returns not in the Rumble, if I'm being honest. I think there's a good chance he returns either after the Rumble, after the Rumble is over. I have an idea in my head on potentially how it could go down, and I'll explain it a little more when we get to it. But
yeah, and WWE's also been releasing these YouTube videos of the greatest Royal Rumble moments and returns and stuff, and a lot of them are featuring The Rock. So I think there's a better chance that he returns than that people are giving it. But I just wanted to bring it up because I thought someone was going to pick him. I'm not picking him. I'm picking someone maybe a little more bold. And all I have to say is, give me a hell yeah, because I got Stone Cold returning at the Royal Rumble match. It's bold, I know, but Stone Cold has been working out a lot lately. And I find it hard to believe that it's because he doesn't like the way that he looks. I think he's been training to get into in-ring shape. I mean, just think about the different stare downs, the different one-on-ones we can get with him and a bunch of other people in the Royal Rumble match. Now, I don't want him to win the Royal Rumble match, but I think he's someone who could return. and maybe set up a WrestleMania match down the line. But just imagine the pop if you hear the glass break and Stone Cold comes out. I mean, they would blow the roof off of that place. So Stone Cold is my official pick as someone who could return at the WWE Royal Rumble match. Dillon, give me a debut.
Okay, so my official debut is, and it's actually one that I feel pretty good about, considering that I thought of it literally like 20 minutes before the podcast started. Didn't cross my mind like this entire time leading up into the Rumble until I was trying to think of a little bit better of a debut. And that is because the man who has technically not made an in-ring debut yet, I think we're going to get the in-ring debut of Gable Steveson in WWE. And I believe it's going to come through the Royal Rumble. I don't think he's going to win. I don't think this is going to mean that he's immediately going to get like thrown full-time onto TV. In my opinion, Gable Steveson is going to skip the NXT process when he is ready. WWE, in my opinion, has made that pretty clear. They have big plans for Gable Steveson, despite the reports that he wasn't, making as well of progress training that they may have hoped. But I do think we get the debut of Gable Steveson here. I think it would just for nothing else, just for the pop of seeing him and just getting him in ring and getting him in front of a crowd and really giving him a chance to at least, like, even if he won't get too much time to show some great in-ring ability, just show what he can do with a crowd and how he can work a little bit. I think there could be like a potential great stare down moment with tons of different people with Gable Steveson. We could get, I believe, like a crazy stare down between Gable Steveson and Gunther would be potentially really cool. I think Gable Steveson and Chad Gable given a nice little stare down, in my opinion, and that's what we need. That's the Royal Rumble moment I believe we're all dreaming of, is the Gable Steveson, Chad Gable stare down. But yeah, like I said, we haven't seen the in-ring debut of him yet. He has made a few appearances, but I think this is a good time to just get him out there in front of the crowd and see how he does, see how they react, and then they can kind of base their plans off him from there.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone I completely forgot about. So I think he's a solid option for someone who could sort of make their debut in WWE at the Rumble. What about you, Jiarmani?
I got to take care of something real quick. So I have my pick. I got it. But I got to just run downstairs real fast. I'm going to give you guys something to talk about.
Okay.
Who has the most eliminations? And if so, because since we're including Braun, actually, no, I think it's Brock Lesnar's record now. Do they break that record? So talk about that. And I'll give my pick for debut, and I'll even chime in a little bit. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, so I think, I don't know, dude, because the record is 13, and it's Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman. If you count Braun Strowman, because his was in the Greatest Royal Rumble, where they had 50 people in the match. So I don't know. 13's a lot. That's almost half of the field that you're going to be eliminating. So I don't even know who they would have do that. What about you?
Yeah, I can't really think of anybody other than maybe if Roman somehow ends up entering the Rumble, which I do think there's a slight chance that he enters the Rumble. I think there's like literally like a 1% chance that he's in the match. But that would be my guess. If anybody's going to do it, it would be Roman.
I told you I was going to be quick. I heard O'Brien say Roman. Izzo, what did you say?
I haven't made of an official prediction yet. I think someone who could do it could be Gunther. That could be not a bad person to break it.
I don't think they're gonna break it, honestly. But I said if somehow Roman is in the Royal Rumble match, I could definitely see him doing it.
All right, Roman. I mean, yeah, I felt like they shouldn't include. Like, I don't like the Greatest Royal Rumble, but but yeah, like with Brock with 13, I feel they like. I guess it makes sense to give it like when Brock had it in 2020. But to your point with Gunther, I still sound so weird. I'm just gonna call him Gunther because saying Gunther is so weird.
Yeah.
Or Walter. I don't know why they just took away Walter. But I feel if anything, if he's gonna eliminate anybody, it needs to be with a chop. That's all I gotta say. It gotta be like in air, like Ricochet going from the top rope. Boom! You just see like impact, and he flies out the ring. But yeah, I would have thought one of y'all would have said Solo.
That's true. I was gonna say so. I won't even lie. I was gonna say Solo, but then I was in my head. I was just like, I could see that being a record he gets. Maybe just not this year, in my opinion. I don't know.
I would say
13 is just so many.
I mean, yes. I feel like there's gonna be like somebody's gonna hit maybe eliminate half the field, and then it's like, okay, we like you can't touch this record unless we put like another 40-person Royal Rumble match or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I say Solo is because I feel like that's like a perfect way for Solo to be. Like obviously, like I said before, greatest NXT call up ever, but that's like the best way for him to be. Sorry, I got my dog barking downstairs, but that's like him to cement himself. Like this dude isn't something like we haven't forgotten about Solo. Like WWE telling the fans, we haven't forgotten about Solo. Like this guy's gonna go in and just tear it up because you don't know what like Solo's path to WrestleMania is if he even has one. But I think like the best way to kind of showcase exactly how much of an enforcer the street champ truly is you give Solo like 8 or 9 eliminations, something crazy like that. Samoan Spike.
Yeah, I definitely. I was gonna say if I had to make a prediction for who's gonna have the most eliminations, I would say Solo is a great pick. I would almost 100% say I think that would probably go.
I love Solo
or Gunther.
Yeah.
But I honestly think that's more. I think this Mania for Gunther is going to be more about setting up. Not this Mania, this Rumble for Gunther. It's going to be less about establishing Gunther because he's, in my opinion, he's more established and more about setting up his like feud to Mania. And I think, I think that it could be used as a great opportunity to really, like you said, just show him that like, hey, like don't forget about this guy Solo. We got plans for him.
I love it. Even if somebody isn't going to win, it's going to be a showcase. But yeah, definitely. Like I feel like Solo, somebody to look out for. But to answer the question at hand, debut. It's going to be a Forbidden Door entrant, and I know like his contract with New Japan's coming up soon. It's Jay White. It's the Switchblade. I didn't get accustomed to Jay White until like the last maybe year or so. But I love what this guy brings to the table. And the reason I say Jay White, because I feel like it was another thing with that post on Twitter that BT Sports, WWE on BT Sports posted. It was Jay White enters the Royal Rumble or show like debuts at the Royal Rumble. And I feel for him, initial feud that he can have is with Finn Balor because that Bullet Club connection. He can come in and just like, have a stare down with Finn or something and then boop, and just chuck him over the top rope. And then he has a showcase of what kind of like a star he's truly become because the dude has the look. He has like I know he has like the Sister Abigail finisher that's Bray's thing, but calling it the Blade Runner, I love that. That's great. Like everything that Jay White is 100% what I want to see in like the modern day style wrestling because he can go with the best of them for sure, and he's shown that with like his fuse with Okada over New Japan and being a part of Bullet Club. I feel him being WWE bound seems a lot more likely than him going like to somewhere like AEW. Even though I could see him going to AEW, but I feel like WWE, he can become that insta megastar here in the States. So Jay White's my pick.
Yeah, Jay White is a great pick. I'm a huge fan of Jay White, and he's very young. He's 30 years old also, so he's definitely. Me and Dillon say that a wrestler's prime is from 30 to 40. So once they're in their 30s, we feel that's when they're in the prime of their career. So he's just getting started and he's already accomplished so much in New Japan. So I think that's a great pick for a debut. So for my debut, I think
also real quick, I just want to say, I think that would get a way bigger pop than people think. I think Jay White would bring like a bigger Like, because to the casual fan who might not know who Jay White is, I think like between the marks that are there, I think they would go that crazy enough for Jay White to equal a normal.
You have the
If that
casuals
makes-
start screaming just because the
yeah,
dudes
just
right
because
next to
everyone else is basically.
Okay.
And I think that they would also just let him keep his gimmick because, like, we saw it with
I agree.
Cody. So I don't think they would really change anything about him because they just see that the megastar he already is. So I don't
Well,
think
that's
they would
what
change anything.
it's the greatest thing about in my opinion with Triple H is that and not just with Triple H, but with the fact that there's so much more wrestling now that we're able to like consume and watch and get a hold of is that like WWE and these companies, they're not picking out these guys like for what they can be. They're picking them out for what they've already made themselves. You know what I mean? It's not WWE's job to make these guys anymore, which is amazing and great for wrestling.
Yeah. So for my debut, I have former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Nick Aldis. Now, I haven't seen much of him, but he just, by the looks of him, looks like a WWE guy, similar to just how LA Knight is just a WWE guy. So he is no longer signed to NWA. They had a pretty big falling out, and I think he is WWE bound. For sure. And I think he could make a debut at the Royal Rumble because I think he's going to skip the NXT route. And so I think he's a great pick. And I think that he may be the person I feel strongest about for making their debut. I think there's a better chance that he debuts over like Jay White or Gable Steveson. But someone else I think that could be, I just wanted to mention a few people that could be a good debut or a return. For debuts, Dragon Lee could debut in WWE. He's signed to NXT, but I could see him in the match for a return. I think Matt Riddle can return. I think we could get Pat McAfee returning in the Rumble. I think Edge is probably going to return in the Rumble. I think Wade Barrett could appear in the Rumble. Maybe Booker T.
Bull hammer somebody's head clean off their shoulders and don't get them up out the ring. That would be perfect.
Yeah, so there's just a few people to keep.
I also wanted to mention the potential, the potential debut of. Oh my gosh, who am I drawing a blank on? Sorry, whatever. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it up. It's all right.
Just gonna blurt out a random name when we're talking.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, so let's move on to our official predictions for the men's Royal Rumble match. This one is tough. Jiarmani, who do you have coming out on top of the men's Royal Rumble match, thus setting up a main event of WrestleMania?
Oh my God. That, like, the thing I love about the Royal Rumble, I told you guys this already, is that, like, look at Drew McIntyre, look at Bianca Belair. That is how a Royal Rumble should be booked. It should be booked about elevating your next top star for your main event scene. I feel like Royal Rumble, even if somebody doesn't win it, they can have a showcase and it easily elevates them. You can make so many different stories coming out of the Royal Rumble. Like, you can have two people start feuding because one person eliminated this other person and cost them a chance at challenging for the world title. And like, just so many different elements that can come out and just start progressing the stories, going even past and beyond WrestleMania. And my thing is that it's hard. I feel like it's just up to, it's a 3-horse race. And that's something else I loved about the Royal Rumble, when like the good ones anyway, is that you had, like, there was never one clear cut person. Like, you can make cases for so many different guys. Like, look at the 2002 Royal Rumble, the one that Triple H won. When in hindsight, you kind of can see that it was Triple H's to lose. But you looked at, like, you see somebody like Austin, it was The Undertaker. You had Triple H, obviously. You had Booker T when he was like the coveted number 30 spot. And you had just a bunch of big names that each had an argument to be the Rumble winner, and it would make sense. But that's the way I love my Royal Rumbles. You want to make as many stars as you can to be able to progress through the year and not try to get stale, because it's all about elevating new stars for me anyway. But for my winner of the 2023 Royal Rumble, I don't remember if it's the same as that I sent before, but I'm going with Cody. And the reason is that I feel like the story's there. Obviously, he's returning, and I feel like I feel for him, like all the momentum is going to be there for him to go and just, challenge Roman Reigns. Again, it's like it's kind of convoluted how they may go when it comes to the plan, but it's probably good that we don't know exactly how they're going to go about it, because it keeps us invested anyway. But yeah, I think Cody, it's kind of his Rumble to lose. But also I would be pleasantly surprised if he doesn't win, but I'm okay either way. But I'm kind of going with kind of like the lock, especially WWE's trying to project kind of an AEW original, being like, hey, yeah, you remember this guy? Yeah, he's one of the top guys now. Like, even though that's kind of like been like their kind of was going to be their selling point for AEW stars that are going to be incoming free agents. But I think Cody deserves it. Like, the story's there.
Yeah, Cody's a great pick. I think there's a really good chance that he could enter at number 1 and just go the distance for sure. Dillon, who do you think's coming out on top? Because just so everyone knows, we only have one difference thus far. I know we've only had like 3 or 4 matches, but it's gonna come down. This is what it could come down to.
Well, we also got all the picks for debuts and returns and stuff. So yeah, that is. So yeah. Pretty much. I was gonna say Coach. If put him at 1 and have him know that if that like fight his way, that's in my opinion the best and earth right now, man. Daniel Bryan. This is we're at borderline. Only one that you can get away with besides Sami Zayn. Crowd is going, man. This I cannot wait. Craving some Cody matches. In that run, and then for anyway, I'm going with the man. He's the most storyline to come coming full circle. Tell me this wouldn't be the way I think it happens. Sami like accidentally I'm gonna say like by accident, but he like I don't think I don't think and then man, like just imagine, man, like just imagine, just imagine, and Kevin Owens, maybe stuff's going crazy. And he slides. Belt or something. Jey Uso. And he looks at Sammy. And he looks at Roman Reigns. And he says, Man is my family. Just man is my family. Just in there for me. Haluva kick. Haluva kick. He did it. He did it. Imagine the emotion. Kevin Owens runs in his best friend. And his best friend. And I didn't mean. And I didn't mean. But yeah, dude, just but yeah, dude, just I mean, it would be for the undisputed tag team champion. Would it really give?
I don't think it would be the same. I don't think it would be the same.
Isn't with Sammy, man. We've moved past it, man. The disrespect to Sammy. Is an equal, and he's gonna show. Be the man. Sami Zayn is. This is coming from a Batista situation once again. Like that because of how over Cody. Over than any See that. I've been in the stadium. Uso. This proper culmination. Us. Good chance it happens. Like I said. My fingers are crossed because of. Not only would. But the pop plus the adage of people going, oh my God. We're actually gonna do it, and they did it. So if it happens, man, it's gonna be truly insane. Either way, I will say this Rumble, there's a few picks that you can't really go wrong, and I won't be too mad about, but I'm so all in on the honorary Uso, man. Like we need it. I need it so bad. He's so over, and he deserves it.
Yeah. So the feud, as I fully want Sami Zayn to win. He's like the person I want the most to win, but I don't think that they're going to go that direction. I just don't think that they're going to pull the trigger.
I gotta put it into existence.
Because part of the reason I'm picking Cody, and I think Cody's going to go the distance, enter at number 1, and I think he's ultimately going to get the main event at WrestleMania. I don't think he needs to win the Rumble to do that, but I think that's how it's going to go. Because I do think that Sami Zayn is going to fight Roman for the championship at the Royal Rumble. I think the theories are correct. I think that his name is signed on that contract. So I don't even think he's going to be in the Royal Rumble match to win to begin with. Because I think that solves a lot of issues where if you have that happen before the Men's Royal Rumble match, then you don't have that divide of people wanting Sammy and people wanting Cody. Like, as much as I love Cody and I would be happy if he won, I'd be a little disappointed that Sammy didn't win because I'm rooting for Sammy. So I think they're going to take that out of the equation entirely to help Cody Rhodes and to help the pop that he's going to get once he wins. And it's a part of his character. It's part of the story with Cody Rhodes. Do the work, put in the work. He's going to enter at number 1. He's going to go the distance. He could break the record for longest time spent in the Royal Rumble match.
In my opinion, that's the only way it has to be done, man.
Yeah, For sure. And I think it's just like, it's so in his character to do that. Everything he's been through with his torn pec. And I think he's going to come back. And I think he's going to put in the work. He put in the work to recover from his injury. And I think he's going to put in the work at the Royal Rumble to not only win, but to enter at number 1, go the distance. And I think he's going to dethrone Roman at WrestleMania for the WWE Championship. So there you have it. Massive episode, massive predictions. The Burning Hammer podcast predictions. World Heavyweight Championship of the World is on the line. Dillon is defending the title in a Philly street fight at the Royal Rumble. So we'll see if he retains the championship or if you have a new champion. Jiarmani, thank you so much for joining us. We're definitely going to have you on in future episodes for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a ton of fun. My goodness, 2 hours just flew by. That was
I know.
Yeah, dude, that was a great episode. And I also want to say, we leave the viewers also with this weekend with a happy Rumble and a Go Birds. Let's get these Eagles to the Super Bowl, baby.
All right.
Yeah. Me and Dillon are Eagles fans. We're from the Philly area, so.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I was talking with Chad yesterday about just like he was talking about like the toxicity that Phillies fans have. I like to give you guys the compliment of being passionate as Boston fans over here about you guys as sports teams. So especially seeing the Phillies going all the way to the World Series, just how great they were in the in their home stadium with like that ruckus crowd is great. So yeah, I'm 100% rooting for you guys too.
Thank you.
Hey, we appreciate it. I always like to say, Philly fans are not what the media makes us out to be. We are much, much worse. So if you want to fuck around and find out, come down to the link. We'll make you cry.
All right.
That's how I'm feeling about the Niners fans this weekend, by the way. Just so you are not welcome in my stadium. Not you, Jiarmani. That was for the Niners fans. Not. I was not pointing at either.
You are right. You're gonna pass. You're good.
All right, so make sure to follow us on all of our social media. On Twitter, we are at The Burnt Hammer. On Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, we're at The Burning Hammer. And make sure to follow Vendetta Sports Media on their social media. On Twitter, they are at Vendetta VSM. On Instagram and TikTok, they are at Vendetta Sports Media. And make sure to visit vendettasportsmedia.com. Me and Dillon write professional wrestling, anything and everything involving pro wrestling. We're writing about it. Plus, Vendetta covers any and every sport. Jiarmani is making a ton of great videos over there as well. So make sure to check out vendettasportsmedia.com. I'm Mark Izzo. He's Dillon O'Brien. That's Jiarmani Depena. And this has been another episode of the Burning Hammer podcast. We'll catch you next week.